Countdown to Election Day, 188 days. And ladies and gentlemen, you thought the last election was important. This one is big for so many reasons. On the phone line with me right now, Chris Melody Fields, Election Protection Coordinator. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm going to give you the mic. I'm going to give you the audience. Please, would you shake these people and tell them why they've got to get out here and how big this is and why the ID law is so important?
Absolutely. Well, in many states, now 10 states, there are voter ID laws that are that have the potential to prevent people from participating in our democracy, and that is a fundamental right. So we issued a report with Demos, Fair Elections, Legal Network, and Common Cause to help groups on the ground help people get the ID they need in their hands so they can participate in our democracy. There's so many challenges that are already facing voters. We don't need to be putting another barrier in front of them. So, we talked to groups in Wisconsin and Tennessee to see what they're doing, and we wanted to make sure that we are helping the people that really need it. So we learned that, there are really key elements. Rights to the DMV, especially in rural areas. We want to make sure that we can get people to the centers that are providing the ID. It's very costly. In many states, you have to pay for a birth certificate, and you need that in order to get an ID. So we want to make sure that, we're helping people get their birth certificates, and also, if we can, help pay for it. This affects, minority and low-income families, and many of them can't afford to pay for this birth certificate or the ID. So we want to make sure we have programs that help them go through that.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. So you can explain it to everyone who says, what's the problem with an ID? They're like, look, what's the problem? I have an ID. Can you tell them why this is unusual and why it shouldn't stand?
Sure. This law can affect up to 25% of African Americans, and in places like Wisconsin, 55 or 46%. If you live in an urban population, more than likely you're not going to have a driver's license, which is what is an ID that you can use. Also, these states are very restrictive on what IDs are allowed. It's a very short list. Many of the things that you would think would be on there, like a veteran's ID card, are not approved.
A lot of times, not even student IDs.
And student IDs, absolutely.
But a gun license, though.
Absolutely. But we're not allowing our veterans to use the IDs. They fought for our country, and they can't use the ID that has a photo to be able to vote.
This is something that we need to be aware of, and we can't wait until the last minute, Chris, because if we do, there's going to be millions of people not being able to cast a vote, and we know how close the election was last time.
Absolutely. We have to start these programs now. In many states, it could be 12 to 14 weeks before you can get a birth certificate that you need. If you do this in September, October, it's already too late. We have to start the programs now, and it really is important for groups that are doing the voter registration drives that they talk about this issue and ask people, do you have the ID so you can vote? We want to get you registered, but you know what? In your state, you're also going to have ID when you go to the polls. So we have to educate and make sure that we're getting the IDs in people's hands. Go ahead.
No, I need to wrap it up. I'm sorry, I got another interview I have to do. But Chris Melody Fields, Election Protection Coordinator for the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. And that was some very valuable information she just gave us about the fact that it takes sometimes 14 to 16 weeks just to get the birth certificate in order to get the ID. We got to get ahead of the game. This is the Michael Baisden Show.